develop community, one of the things we're going to run into is tangents. And tangents can be a good thing for two reasons. One is sometimes they show you that people are becoming more comfortable, that they're comfortable to just speak out and go off here and then go off there and then go off in entirely different direction. Another thing that is good about them is a lot of times they address felt needs. Perhaps I come in with this plan of we're going to discuss this, and when I get there, I realize that this issue over here is actually a pretty difficult one for a number of members in the group, and I need to stop and be sensitive to that and pay attention to what they need to say, what they need to talk about, what questions they may have. But there's also this issue of sometimes it just gets out of hand, and we end up way out there, and not everybody in the group needs to be way out there, and we need to bring it back in. For example, I have a book club, and a lot of times in that book club, we get to talking about hard issues that are brought up in the book, and this is an amazing thing. Occasionally, though, they end up just becoming an everyday chit-chat. Everyday chit-chat is great, but we only have a certain amount of time together, and we want to make sure that that time is focused and that it's a way of everybody participating in a way that they can't on just a Monday morning phone call. The hard thing is you want to, even in these tangents, keep a level of trust, and you want to make sure everybody is valued. So the question is, how do you rein them back in without continuing to just cut off people and make them feel like what they have to say is not important?
A couple of questions I would just mentally ask myself as this plays out before me, this rabbit trail conversation. One is, does detour have value? There's the possibility that in spite of all my preparation and deep prayer and consideration of what we're talking about, that in fact the detour is really what we do need to be talking about. Right. That it really is addressing a real issue that's felt by the group at that moment. Right. And it could be that I need to set aside my own agenda and say, no, really, this is of a greater value. A couple other clues. Is the whole group involved in the rabbit trail? A lot of times it's two people going back and forth on a topic that they may find interesting, and the rest of the group is silently watching. That could be interpreted as they're okay, and we're going to see how this plays out. Oftentimes, though, I'm uncomfortable with where the rabbit trail is going. They are also. Right. They're just not saying it because they're not the group leader. They're waiting on me to actually lead the group and get us back on track. So does it have value? Is the rest of the group engaged in this conversation? Related to does it have value, I'm asking, are we taking this rabbit trail because we're avoiding something, or because this is a sincere area that we want to explore? Sometimes with a group of an uncomfortable topic that maybe it's a little too close to home, we deal with it by joking or taking off and moving in a new direction. Right. So hence your second question of, when I sense that, how do I bring that back in? For me, again, there's just the overt, I've in groups that are, whoa, we need to reel this thing back in, and just physically made the motion, and I'm just announcing, hey, I'm going to go ahead and say out loud what we all know, which is we're way off topic. And I think it's time to go ahead and pull back in. So that's the most direct way. And I find much more effective than kind of hinting and whatnot. But there are times I may just try to make a transition to say, I'm so glad you brought up that premillennial view of the eschatology. And so as that relates to the woman at the well, how do you think she's... Again, you're just kind of trying to make a joke about it and just invite people at that point to refocus and say, hey, let's tackle this. One exception I would say is there may be a rabbit trail that comes up that is a serious issue that I'm just not prepared to discuss. Maybe it's a controversial issue. Maybe it's an issue that really touches someone at the core of their being, and I feel like I need to be a little more prepared in order to have a good discussion around it. Right. If that's the case, I'll just acknowledge that. And just acknowledge that, hey guys, this is an important topic. I don't think we're going to do it justice by trying to cram it in our opinions in the last 20 minutes of this group time. Let's do this. Can we schedule a whole evening to address this topic? That would give you and me both time to prepare and also time to adequately delve into it. Does that sound good? Most folks are relieved that you're willing to kind of give them the space to have that conversation, but to do it in a way that isn't creating tension and competing with what the agenda was for that night.
Or it gives you a chance also to just evaluate your emotions, back away from frustrations, hurts, anger, whatever that may hit.
And I would say it depends on how well that rabbit trail is going. I mean, if people are following and they're interested and everybody seems to really be into this, let it go for a little while. I mean, you may end up hitting a nerve. You may end up finding something in that group that really needs to be discussed that you would have missed if you just stuck with your text. Don't be so rigid that you can't get off on something else. At the same time, when you look around your group and 2 or 3 people are on your rabbit trail and everybody else is off in the bushes somewhere not paying attention, you need to bring it back. And a pretty simple way is just kind of summarize the tangent. We talked about this, and that was really good. Back here, what Paul was saying, and just bring it back. A simple transition. The summarizing, I think, allows the people who are on the tangent to feel like you're not just shutting them down. You've listened, you've paid attention, you've got this out, but it also gives you a way to transition back into what is the actual topic that you're talking about.
And she says, with a happy sigh,